Here at the AnomicAge, we know that these times of uncertainty are stressful. It is incumbent upon all of us to put our fears first and bow down to government tyranny. Gone are the days of freely leaving your home, working, and social interactions. In exchange for safety, we will trade liberty. At the AnomicAge, we understand. However, just in case you want to get off your knees and stop being a sniveling coward, check out the JohnAge project at AnomicAge.com.
Meet Ann Morrissey, who is here with her daughter, Dareth. Dareth is 17 years old. Mrs. Morrissey, I don't have to tell you that most parents would be extremely depressed if their daughter came home one day looking like this. I assume that was your response shock, anger, depression? What was it?
I was extremely angry. I really went bananas.
Yeah, how old was she when this happened?
Possibly 13, 14 years old.
We're talking like it's a disease, isn't it?
Well,
yeah. How did she explain it to you, Mrs. Morrissey?
there was very poor communication until we went into counseling. And it almost broke up our family. But through counseling and Serena, I can understand it better.
What do you understand?
That she feels like she doesn't want to be like everyone else, and she wants to be her own person. And through the dress code and her lifestyle, she's expressing this. It doesn't conform with our rules, but we're learning to cope, and it's a very, very difficult thing. Extremely difficult.
Dareth, let's let you talk for yourself. You're from Long Beach, California.
I just can't handle being like everybody else because that's what everybody else wants, you know. Just because somebody else does something does not mean that I have to do it. You know, I have my own morals and ideals, and I go by them.
Are you drug-free, Dareth?
Yes, I am.
Is this a political statement, then? Do you have some misgiving about the society that you see?
Yeah, there's a lot of problems, you know. A lot of the people are really aware of what's going on, you know, and I don't like it, you know. There's a lot of problems.
What?
I don't like the way society is based.
What bothers you? Give us some of the misgivings you have.
The rich, the poor, the people starving, the wars, you know. Why can't, you know, everybody just get along and just live their life?
Here at the AnomicAge, we know that these times of uncertainty are stressful. It is incumbent upon all of us to put our fears first and bow down to government tyranny. Gone are the days of freely leaving your home, working, and social interactions. In exchange for safety, we will trade liberty. At the AnomicAge, we understand. However, just in case you want to get off your knees and stop being a sniveling coward, check out the JohnAge project at AnomicAge.com.
Meet Ann Morrissey, who is here with her daughter, Dareth. Dareth is 17 years old. Mrs. Morrissey, I don't have to tell you that most parents would be extremely depressed if their daughter came home one day looking like this.
Talon Real and Chevy.
Propagating truth in a world of lies. You are listening to the JohnAge Project.
Trust no one. Trust no one. Trust no one.
You found it. You're here. You're headlong down the runaway train that is the AnomicAge, and I'm your host, JohnAge. Happy to be back with you once again. Not quite in the dark side of the AM, but still hailing proudly from the coastal plains of the old North State, and I will be your tour guide this evening as we take a somewhat satirical journey down the path of murder, destruction, mayhem, and the extermination of human life on this planet. A forced march into obsolescence thrust upon us by a global satanic death cult of pedophiles. Whew. Check out AnomicAge.com if you've not already done so. Please like all the likes. Subscribe to all the subscriptions. PayPal.me/AnomicAge. Patreon.com/AnomicAge as well. If you could do no more, please nail this mic into the desk. Like all the likes, subscribe to all the subscriptions, paypal.me/AnomicAge. Once again, patreon.com/AnomicAge as well. We got the Cash App to buy me a cup of coffee in just about any way under the sun that you can even consider leaving me some Quan. That'd be lovely. That would be great. That would just be stellar. Don't you know? Boy, my goodness gracious, six lap. It's been since July 4th that I put out a show. Maybe it was July 5th. I believe it was the 4th. I can't recall. Because that was the last time I tried to put out a show. And the show turned into an unmitigated amalgamation of fecal particulates. And I decided, you know what? There's no way in God's green earth I'm going to post this video because it is creepy, folks. So that will be perhaps the only episode of this show ever that did not actually go out in the video. Take that back. I can think of one more. I think it was supposed to be episode number 3, if I'm not quite mistaken. It's still saved on the hard drive over there. Had a lovely interview with a guest who will remain nameless. But great guy, great episode, great interview. We got into a whole lot of paranormal. We got into a whole lot of demonic and a whole lot of the satanic variety of items. And about after the show, about 5 minutes after the show, I went to retrieve it all, and alas, it was gone. I was very mad, but also just very remorseful to the guest. He kind of in the interview said, "Yo, I'm not going to do any more interviews after this. It's kind of a wrap." And I got back to him, hat in hand, and said, "I'm so sorry. Or at least a good half the show is just gone." And he said, "John, don't worry about it, man. It's happened many times before. Whenever we get into some of these dark, occult things just sort of happen." So I just say that. This is the second show. The July 4th one in that early show, maybe like almost 6 years ago now, that is not going to press, so to speak. So the audio version of the July 4th episode is still there, but that's about it. What in the devilly dog is going on? And you will please excuse me if I just have to fix some things, because sometimes it drives me completely insane. Now's one of those times. There we go. I'm trying my best to not lose my cool and just kind of go with it. It's going to be all right. Talk myself off the ledge. It's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. If you have not caught on yet, see if I can solve this problem. If you've not caught on yet, I'm dealing with completely new equipment. Because after that travesty on July 4th, where it was a lovely show, I thought it really was quite succinct and concise and really dotted all the I's, crossed all the T's. After that debacle, I went into a small rage and somewhat of a mini stroke. And I decided that if the show is to go on, it cannot go on under these conditions anymore. So I'm dealing with a much newer, up-to-date, brand spanking, well, the brand spanking ain't even out of the box yet, newer system on which to interact and continue our nightly conversations. So I'm going to try my best to make sure everything is in order. And I don't think I've got all the bugs out just yet. but I'm going to try. Just when you think, folks, that you've gotten all the bugs worked out of everything, alas, you'll come under some new ones. It's okay, folks. It's okay. I'm not going to get upset about this because lately I've lost my cool far too many times, and I'm going to try and be a much more measured host, if I can. That is, I don't even know if that's possible. Actually, let's just see, folks. We're going to just do things on the fly around here because why not? That's how we do things. It's okay. It's not going to get my goat. I'm not going to lose control. We're just going to roll on over. It's going to roll this over there. That's what I want. Yeah, okay. Looking good in the neighborhood. Let's see if we can do what we want there. Yeah, that's what we're going for. Holy shnikes, we actually got it going. Thank goodness. Thank the Lord. So anyway, folks, that's kind of what we're trying to show you there. The free Ghislaine Maxwell image for this show. You think we can just shrink that down a little bit? Do you think we can get it going? Nah, I don't think so either. That's okay. So the free Ghislaine Maxwell art is what we were trying to show, but it's impossible. That's okay. Because, again, no reason to lose your cool, no reason to get befuddled here or even get angry. We're not going to allow that to occur. We're going to maintain a calm. Because I've really been trying to read the Bible much more lately, and I've latched on to things that I really need to hear, which is self-control, calm. These are things that I'm very bad at, but I'm going to become better at them. Here's what the album art for this show should look like. It's not going to be able to be visible during the course of my conversation. That's okay, because you didn't come here for me to talk about album art or anything else. You came here for the show. So we will continue our conversation, and we'll talk about just that. Ghislaine Maxwell and freeing Ghislaine from these tyrannical oppressors. Because I think we're all aware, about 2 weeks ago now, of just this cascading snowball of turds that I would say would be the final byproduct of Trump basically castigating people for even mentioning Epstein. Why are you still talking about it? It just got worse and worse. Each day, he managed to stick his whole foot, leg, and buttocks in his mouth, I guess, and just completely continue to, malign anybody that would dare talk about Epstein or Ghislaine or the files. I mean, it was really quite hilarious because you went from Pam Bondi, with her inception into the office there saying these files are coming. They're on my desk. They're coming. They're going to all magically appear. And then you got Dan Bongino and Kash Patel a couple weeks before basically said, oh, don't worry. The files have disappeared. They're gone. But we don't know what you're talking about. Why are you talking about these files that never existed? And then people were putting the onus on Patel and on Bongino and Pam Bondi, and then finally Trump comes out and says, oh, no, it's me. I'm done talking about this. And then it just gets worse and worse and worse, and the gaslighting just gets more hilarious by the day. Until finally Trump comes out and he says, yo, stop asking about this stuff. And then it got even more ridiculous when he said anybody that's still asking about this stuff is basically not on Team Trump anymore. And I excommunicate you as Pope, I guess, with his big funny hat and scepter and everything. He excommunicated the folks that dared to question not even the validity, but I guess the existence of these files. I mean, it just was so hilarious. The epic level of gaslighting. And to me, it was very reminiscent. So much of the Trump regime, take two, has been very reminiscent of the Bush, the younger regime. absolutely. I mean, he was coming out, Bush saying, you're either with us or we're with the terrorists. And then you had old Trump baby saying, well, if you still want to talk about this stuff, you're just not my friend anymore. It was just so hilarious, folks. And then you even had the backlash because if you remember, I don't know how many months ago, it was a couple months back, when Pam Bondi sort of bestowed these lovely white binders to who? Just like random people in the alt media, I guess. They were bestowed these lovely white binders that had apparently nothing in them. It again kind of reminded me, as I always say, life's just an extension of high school. It was an extension of high school in the fact that Pam Bondi was giving the cool kids, the cool alt media kids were getting these binders. I didn't get my binder. I'm not very cool, But it was, in essence, like a binder full of nothing. I was just like, okay. Just like they're going to release the JFK and the MLK and the dead people that have been killed by our government for decades almost. Well, decades for sure, millennium. Not quite a century, not too far off. But they were going to release some of this files and whatnot. And, of course, that was a raft, a whole lot of nothing. Those more redacted, blacked out pages. I was going to hold up a black piece of paper. Look, I got some information. Got my binder. Got some redacted files. I'm special now. I'm in the cool kids club, So, yeah, we've really cascaded really far down in this chasm on this big turd snowball, if you will. So we went from a few weeks back, all this stuff's going to get magically released, and now you're an enemy of the Trump regime if you dare to question these known liars, these known pedophiles. I mean, it's just downright silly. That's why, again, I harken back to Free Ghislaine. Free Ghislaine, folks. What are we waiting for? Release this lady. Who really cares, after all, at this point in the game? Just release Ghislaine. Because the most telling thing here is, if all this was just a lot of hooey, if all the gaslighting was real and we were all just sort of in some sort of bizarre split from reality, then why is Ghislaine in prison at all? Was old Ghislaine and the allegedly dead, winkety wink, Epstein, were they just trafficking to no one? Was it the Invisible Man? Is that what it was? So all this points to shenanigans, if you will, within the Trump regime at the very least. We got some shenanigans, folks. Because we went from we're gonna release all these files and all these people are going to prison to you're just delusional. You're making things up. This isn't even real. After all, this guy died a year ago, plus more in prison. It's all a big who cares. So, that being said, now this is causing a bit of a consternation, a bit of discord, and maybe even a coup in the rank and file Trump cult members, because now you have a sharp divide in the cult of Trump camp. Because now you have the true believers, if you will. These are the Charlie Kirks. These are the, well, there's others. Well, I can't think of this other guy. Oh, my goodness, he's all over the place. He's obviously a paid-for mouthpiece, but nevertheless, all the paid-for mouthpiece true believers are just, why are you questioning Trump? Why are you questioning Trump? Why are you believing these lies about this list and this Epstein and this Ghislaine? I mean, what are you talking about? I mean, it really does show the psychology of the op, or the psychology of true culthood. Because now, you can't question the massa, folks. You can't question the massa. And this will all unfurl just as the Patriot Act did, I'm sure. Because not only will those people who dare to criticize Israel, I guess, be on the proverbial, if not literal, chopping block, you'll be deported, or maybe you'll be imported into some sort of Guantanamo-like facility if you dare to criticize Israel. Now, I suppose we're not too far away from being, you'll be in that same handbasket if you dare to bring up Ghislaine and Epstein and this client list, folks. So all this definitely points to what, you might be asking. Does this mean Trump's on the list? I don't know. Does this mean somebody that's near and dear to old Trump baby is on the list? I don't know. But it's very clear that something's trying to be obfuscated from the general public. I mean, I don't think you can jump the shark this much and still have a majority of people buying into it. You still have the true believer idiots, the real blue blood cult members that are going to buy into anything. Trump says jump off the Empire State Building, there'll be a freaking line of people around the block, I guarantee it. But at some point in the game, you really got to look at what's before you. You've got to put the emotional aside, and you got to say, hey, okay, check this out. We went from we're going to release this list to the list never existed. Why are you talking about the list? And this isn't something that's just some little whodunit, who cares. This is a pretty big thing, pretty big ball of wax. This is the trafficking of children. This is the pedophilia of children. This is the murder, the rape, the torture of children going on at the highest levels of government, involving the quote-unquote elites that aren't in government, the musicians, the stars of various sundries, the pop stars, the musicians, the TV stars, the big screen stars, and the like. So we got all sorts of people on this list. That doesn't even get into the non-Americans, those folks across the pond, the castles, the regalia, the pinkies out with a proper cup of tea, those people too. So my take on this is he might be on the list. He could very well be. Chairman Trump, that is, might be on the list. If he's not on the list, I fear that this proverbial list might crack open a keg of worms that nobody's prepared to deal with. Meaning it might shut down this government and several other governments if the names on this list get released, or at least that's what they'd have you believe. Again, I'm kind of the glass half empty, if there's even a glass at all, kind of persuasion. So in my humble opinion, they could release every single name on the list and nothing would happen at all. Because the general populace, especially here in Los Estados Unidos, son idiotas, are idiots, folks. So I do believe that they could release everything and nobody would even give a hootie poo about any of it. I mean, Christ's sakes, in the last 72 hours, I've seen more posts on all social media pertaining to, some CEO cheating on his wife at some stupid concert, and they put him on the Jumbotron, and him and his mistress shrieked and hid behind other people. I've seen more posts regarding that than anything, which really just shows you the general public's mindset. They don't really care about this mess, folks. They give lip service to caring about this mess. But where the rubber meets the road, nobody's willing to do anything to actually stand up for the children. Just like no one has stood up for the over 70 million murdered since Roe versus Wade. Just like nobody's willing to go on the mat, so to speak, for those folks killed in Gaza. Nobody really cares, folks. It's sort of this cause celeb kind of thing where everybody gets their little wink and a nod social credit score bump. And they can virtue signal and say, we really care, about the kids and Ghislaine and the lists, until something new pops up, folks. So I look at this whole thing as a big old weapon of mass distraction. That's pretty much what it all is, because while you were sleeping, oh goodness, we're about to go to nuclear war with Russia again. Oh boy. To me, it's all just a big weapon of mass distraction. Every single bit of it. You got the political pundits on the right and on the left coming out and playing rock'em sock'em robots. You got the people believing Trump's going to save the day. He's riding over the hill on the white horse. And then you got the other people that are,
anti it all, I guess. I don't know where to believe I would fall into this mess. But it is kind of quite telling, don't you think? And now we've moved on. The news cycle's moved on again. Like I said, we're at war with Russia again. Or in the next few days, if they don't do what we tell them to, we're going to be up in arms with Russia. What a bunch of hooey. Shout out to Vegan Bear. I'm glad to see you in the chat there, buddy. It's been a while. Thank you so much for following. Thank you so much for hanging with me. Whew. This gentleman's been there for a while, and I appreciate you wholeheartedly. Goodness gracious, it's been a nightmare in the last few years, folks. I wish I do have time, and I'm not going to subject you to the torrent of just insanity on the technical spectrum I've been dealing with. So I'm not even going to talk about it. But it's been a real humdinger, I tell you. It's been a real humdinger. It's been a big old pile of nothing. So where do you guys stand on this whole thing? Well, let's throw me some thoughts out there if you got any. Shoot me a line, John@AnomicAge.com, or in the chats or what have you. I got to tell you, folks, I don't know if Black Pill is strong enough for where I'm at in this whole thing. I think it's all just a big pile of nothing. I was looking on the social media. I don't know if we got time to get into this. I think we do. In the social media realm, who was it that was giving me some talking? It was great, though. I hate to call people out when they don't want to be called out, but in this case, I think this is a good thing. So, let me see if I can find this one real quick. Monty, I'll just throw your name out there in the first. Monty, he was saying what I believe is the truth 110%, folks. None of these elites are going to prison. Nobody's going to jail, folks. Nobody. Diddy ain't going to jail. Kevin Spacey ain't going to jail. Tom Hanks ain't going to jail. Oprah ain't going to jail. None of these boobs are going to jail. So if you're of the mind and opinion that these people are going to jail, please, I guess, keep on keeping on. Keep on believing it, I guess, because I forgot to tell you, we're at the new crossroads, because we've surpassed the stage of Trump urinating on all his supporters. All the people that put him in office in the first regime, it was over 30% small businesses, individuals, and the like. It flip-flopped. Regime change with Biden, then finally Trump regime number 2. It's all big donors, folks. All those little people, quote unquote, that were giving him the 30% to get elected in the first frame. Nah, not anymore, folks. Not anymore. It's all those big Jew donors that gave him over $100 million, and that's just one drop in the bucket. Most of the people in the Trump regime in phase 2 are all big businesses. Yeah. The big timers, if you will. Let me throw this on the screen, too, because I was going to put this out there, and I sort of thought maybe I shan't, but I think I shall. This one. Can we split screen this one? Is that humanly possible, please? Thank you, Lord Jesus. So this is kind of what you should be looking at, folks, because this is kind of the litmus test for me. There's all these good things that he's done. Make no mistake about it. Yeah, there's good stuff on the scoreboard. But in my humble opinion, a lot of the things on the Trump scoreboard and the proverbial Trump box score are just kind of empty calories, folks. If you ever watch a basketball game, it's kind of the end of the game. It's called garbage time. They put the second and third string in there for both teams. The score is already up by 20, and it's just garbage time. They're just putting empty calories on the board. They're padding their stats with empty calories. They're kind of meaningless. So that's kind of what I would look at the Trump regime in phase 2 as really looking like. Because to me, this is really where the rubber meets the road. Once again, look at this, folks. You got a number of arrests. I'll just read them off the screen for you, folks. Russian collusion hoax. Nobody arrested. Nah. January 6th. Anybody arrested for that actually pulled this mess off? That would be the deep state, the folks in Congress, House, Senate, and otherwise that perpetrated this scam. No. You know what really ticks me off about this? Most, but not all, of the January 6th people are out now. But so many of them did not have their record expunged. It was just basically time served. So they didn't wipe the record for these folks. They did not give them a pardon. They just gave them time served. for a lot of these people. You think that's going to foul up their employment opportunities, any, Trump? Because none of those people should have been in jail. None of those people should have been in D.C. Guantanamo with these pieces of human garbage. Sickening. Mar-a-Lago raid. Anybody in jail for that one? No. Biden auto pen. Anything going out for that one? No. Epstein pedophile arrest. Anybody arrested for that one at all? Aside from Ghislaine? No. COVID scam? Anybody going down for that one? This is where they kept you from your loved ones. This was the 6 feet apart. This was the wear a mask or go to jail. This was you can't visit your family. This was they're killing the elderly in nursing homes. This one, you can't see your own dying relatives. You can't have funerals. We're shutting down your businesses. We're forcing you to take medication that'll kill you. Any arrests? Negativo, folks. Benghazi scam. Anybody going to jail for that one? Not a chance. Doge findings. This has been 6 months plus now, folks. Anybody going down for the Doge findings at all? Nope. Ukraine. Ukraine hoax. Anybody going down for that one? No. Instead, this is some of the funny stuff in the last few weeks. Yeah, I know you missed me, right? So the funny stuff that you did miss in the last few weeks here is intentionally blocking a bill that would have outlawed fluoride in the drinking water. Yeah, that's what went down. Yeah. Again, what else happened with the Republicans intentionally blocking the release of the Epstein client list? Because Ghislaine was like, yo, if y'all ain't going to release it, I'll release it. No. Not so fast. We'll give you some of those paper sheets and cut the cameras off if you don't knock it off, Ghislaine. What else going down? That was just a highlight reel, wasn't it? I mean, was that not enough for him? Had a chance to get the fluoride out of the drinking water, not so fast. This is like opportunity number 10 to release the client list, not so fast. I'm going to go back even further. Anthony Weiner laptop, anybody going down for that one? Nope. How about all the people killed that were related in some form or fashion to Clintons? Anybody going down for that one? No. So we got a whole lot of empty calories in the Trump box score. Not a whole lot of realness, in my humble opinion. But don't worry, because if the tantalizing little tidbit of Russia possibly going to nuclear war with us, that wasn't spooky enough to raise the cockles there, raise the hair on the back of the neck. There's a new one on the rise, because now it's the old donkey with a carrot in front of it again. Aw, we'll keep following this guy because he's our cult leader. He's the Jim Jones of the Republican Party. The newest deal is, hey, we got some more info on Barry Soetoro. Yeah. You know about that? Yeah, Barry Soetoro files. You know, we got all kinds of them. I guess they're like the Epstein files. Maybe they're real, maybe they're not. You know, allegedly they're real. They're probably not. Oh my goodness. So that's the newest sham. The newest sham is we've got these files on Barry Soetoro. Oh yeah. And now I'm trying to not be as dark as I really feel here. I'm really trying. So that's the new deal. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick, because I was going to talk about this, and I was like, nah, we don't even have time to talk about it, but why not? Let's see. Obama files. That's the newest one, don't you know? And Trump came out in a speech today. Tulsi Gabbard's got all these files on Obama. And the sheep are going, oh my goodness. Well, don't worry about Epstein. We got stuff on Obama now. And Trump today, even in the speech, came out and says, you know, I was going after, I can't do a Trump impression, I'm not going to try. I was going to go after Hills, But, and he even misspoke and was like, she's the ex-wife of a president. No, they're still married. I mean, allegedly. Old Hills and Bill Clinton. He wasn't going to go after Hills because, why? Because she was the wife of a former president. Who gives a hill of beans? Trump. He's a criminal scumbag. Just like Epstein, just like Maxwell, just like Obama, just like Biden, just like Anthony Weiner, just like Comey. All these folks should be in prison at the very least. But he said again today, like, I didn't go after them, but don't worry, I'm going to go after Obama because Tulsi Gabbard is going to release all these files. We're right back to the files again, folks. I'll predict you it's going to be more gaslighting, as always. It's going to be like, we got these Barry Soetoro files. We're going after Obama now. 6 years later. Into the Trump term would be the same thing, folks. It'd be the same thing. And no one's holding Trump accountable for the COVID scam. No one's holding him accountable for the January 6th scam. He was at the helm of both of those things, ladies and gentlemen. He was still the president. He could have gone in there and said, all this January 6th mess is a bunch of hogwash. I'm pardoning all these people on my way out. Instead, he pardons a bunch of scum, just like always. And people act as if this Epstein file just showed up magically when Trump took office this final term. But no, it was there all along, folks. Did you miss that? I mean, did you miss that Pam Bondi was the one preventing Epstein from going to prison in Florida? Did you miss that one? Yeah. I mean, this isn't like some revelatory new information that no one knew before. No, we've known this for a long time. Good night, nurse. Anybody look into the Franklin scandal? I mean, anyone look into the D.C. madam? There was two of them. There was more than one, to be honest, but there was a gay D.C. madam that they sent to prison. There was another D.C. madam that said, I'll never commit suicide or hang myself in my garage. 24 hours later, she's dead as a door now, hung in her garage. Coincidence? I think not, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, at least those of you who still identify as human. Whew, man, feels good to be back in the main seat. I love it here. I love having my show again. Please, dear Lord, Heavenly Father, let this show actually work this time and all the video and audio actually sync up. And I pray to you, Lord Jesus, that things just work. Please, just let things work. All right, in closing, black pill ain't strong enough for what's really going down. Nobody's going to prison. Nobody's going to jail. Don't worry. You can still listen to your Biggie. You can still listen to your Diddy. You can still listen to R. Kelly. You can still listen to all these scumbags. Still watch your Oprah. Still watch your favorite Tom Hanks movies. These are sacred cows. They ain't going down. They tried their best to send Cosby down the river, even though it's quite apparent that everyone under the sun just about in that era was doing way worse than Cosby. It's so funny, man. It's so funny that they still crack jokes and still point to Cosby as if he were Epstein, or as if he were Ghislaine, or as if he were Anthony Weiner. I'm not suggesting that what he did was right. I'm just suggesting, like, that's like comparing a rowboat and a yacht. Oh, my goodness. Couldn't talk about Cosby without at least acknowledging the death of Malcolm Jamal Warner yesterday. Freak accident. I have not weighed in on that yet. I have not got enough intel to weigh in on it yet, but it sounds fishy, sad, to say the very least. I don't know. But just as the death of the actual son of Bill Cosby in real life, his death was suspicious 8 days a week, twice on Sunday, up one side and down the other, folks. One death that don't seem suspicious at all is the death of Ozzy Osbourne today. So we got another celebrity dead. It's a whole lot of death going on, folks. A whole lot of death going on. I know I'm going over my time. I feel you. I got to wrap it up. Got to put this whole thing in a bow, tie it off, and move on. So that's where I'm going to leave you tonight, folks. Freeze's Lane. Don't believe the hype. None of these people going to jail. Sit back, relax, have a couple drinks, a little more MSG. Turn on those Dallas Cowboys on your TV. Lock your doors and close your mind. We ain't seeing nobody going to jail. I mean, you, the American people, will go to jail. I mean, if you do the wrong thing on the highway, the man in blue will be tracking down you. Be holding you on the side of the road, give you a little cavity search, a little bit of the old in-out before swiftly taking you to jail. But if you got enough zeros after your name, fear not, ain't nothing going down. Sad but true, folks. Sad but true. I hope to be with you sooner than later in the AnomicAge. I hoped that on July 4th, and you know how that went. But I shall, if all things holds together, be back sooner than later. I might even come back into late night in the dark side of the AM, because I got plenty of venom to throw. Not even touched the tip of the iceberg on that one. It's great being back with you, folks. I apologize for the lapse in time. Look forward to having another conversation with you sooner than later. Be safe out there. Remember, you can't do everything, but you can do something. I'll be seeing you sooner than later in the AnomicAge.
Thank you for listening to the AnomicAge, a JohnAge project. For past shows, further info, and to comment, go to AnomicAge.com. That's AnomicAge.com. Till next time, thank you for listening to the AnomicAge.